Hello, everybody. Welcome to Awesome Rusty Buckets. It has been a damn month. I'm not even going to bother talking about why that's been the case. I'm just going to say that is changing. I'm literally sitting down to record like a couple of videos for this week. And from here on out, these videos will hopefully be coming out 5 days a week. So just trying to do better at doing literally anything. But we're starting it off by bringing the Hot Take series back because that means a pretty damn easy 2 videos a week. And that's where I figured we would leap off, returning to actually uploading on this channel. So let's do it. John Wall will be back in a top point guard level talks this season. I just worded that very weirdly. But yeah, don't think so. I think it's possible, let's say John Wall cracks like bordering on being a top 10 point guard. I think that's semi within the realm of possibility. However, going from a really inefficient 20 and like 7, like I feel like that's a thing people don't factor in as they go and see that he played on the Rockets. They're like, well, he averaged like 20 points and like 7 or 8 assists, and it's like, yeah, he also had like a massively negative true shooting percentage and a lot of turnovers, and who else was going to shoot the ball or play make half of the time? So to that end, I don't expect John Wall to be anywhere near top point guard talks. Like, if we're talking like a top 5 conversation, I would be shocked. And I say that because I don't think that prime John Wall is even really comfortably in the top 5 point guards in the NBA today, just because of how good that list really is, especially if you're considering Luka Doncic a point guard. So no. Jalen Brunson's production will decay drastically with a lack of spacing with the Knicks, and he will end up being the worst contract in the league. I don't think it's possible to be the worst contract in the league making $25 million, just because contracts can go up to 50 now. Like, making half of what is like the max salary a player can get just inherently, I don't think you can be the worst contract, but you can definitely be a bad one. And there definitely would be a case to be made that spacing could definitely impact Brunson's production. But he also doesn't have to share ball handling duties with Luka Doncic. He has to share them with RJ Barrett, which, as much as I hate that it's going to limit RJ Barrett's production and growth, the fact is RJ is just not going to have as much opportunity as Luka Doncic. No shit. So Jalen Brunson, I think because he's just going to simply have more shots to go around, his production is going to be better with the Knicks. You could argue maybe his efficiency will be worse. That's a whole nother topic. But in terms of just pure putting up points, obviously he's going to average more points with the Knicks this year than he did with the Mavericks at any other point in his career. Ironically, RJ Barrett's potential is extremely slept on. I think he will at one point be top 10 in the league barring injuries. I don't think top 10. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. But if I just simply spell out for you a 6'8 forward who has decent passing vision, doesn't always utilize it well, who is really good defensively and is has been good with his 3-point shot. His mid-range percentages have been better but still not good. But a big forward who can shoot, is pretty good at finishing, has really good handle, and has passing capability flash at the very least, and is a good defender. Yeah, that's someone who definitely has a lot of upside, and I wish the Knicks would put more of a focus on that upside. That said, being top 10 with how talented the league is right now is ludicrous. Don't think RJ has that kind of ceiling to him, but like maybe the 15th best player. I think that's well within reason. Patrick Williams will average 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists as long as he stays healthy, and the Bulls will be a top seed in the East because of him. I do think there is a high likelihood that Patrick Williams has a pretty good season next year, and even a bordering on a breakout season next year. But 17, 7, and 5 would be quite the leap. Like, if he does that, he's winning most improved player. I think they're going to look to utilize him more in the offense, and I think that's going to result in maybe like a 13-point per game season. But 17 is a little high. 7 rebounds is probably about right if he gets starters minutes. And 5 assists. Look, Patrick Williams has shown some passing chops. 5 assists per game is probably what he's doing at his absolute peak. And he's especially not doing it on a Bulls roster that has DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, Ayo Dosunmu, like all the playmaking and ball handling that this team has. There's no room for Patrick Williams to get 5 assists per game. At that point, the playmaking for this team would be ridiculous. Nikola Vucevic is another one because he's a really great passing big man. I would guess if Patrick is getting starters minutes and is really looked to be utilized within the offense, he probably averages like 3 assists per game. I don't know why I'm focusing so much on the semantics of 2 assists, but I don't know. This is the channel you signed up for. The Timberwolves are going to win the finals in 6 or 7 against the Bucks, and Ant will win finals MVP. You know, I am a really big believer in this Timberwolves team, and I won't laugh at this like I feel like a lot of people will, because I don't think it's a laughable take. I would not be the most shocked person if the Timberwolves won a championship next year, because I really do believe that that core is going to work out, at least to be a pretty damn good playoff team that borders on contention. But, like, there are probably, like, 5 or 6 teams that I'm picking to win a championship before the Timberwolves. But it's a very good title, so I appreciate you for that. Here's one my stepdad says all the time. Michael Jordan was never a good defender. Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman carried the defense. MJ was only an offensive player. Your stepdad's a fucking idiot. That's just objectively untrue. So, yeah. That's all I have to say about that. Like, you think he won Defensive Player of the Year when Scottie Pippen was, what, a rookie? Or, like, barely playing? What kind of stupid bullshit is that? Unbelievable. Kawhi Leonard is the most overrated defender in the league right now. You know, I don't think that's true anymore. I used to actually agree with this take. I actually used to say things along this lines about Kawhi, because Kawhi had the defensive reputation that he earned in San Antonio still with him, like, in Toronto or in Los Angeles. But at this point, most people are aware Kawhi Leonard's not the defensive player that he used to be. It's more like, yeah, he's a pretty damn good defender still, and when he really, really wants to be, he can turn back the clock and be that kind of defender. But a combination of injury, as well as, I think more importantly, offensive load, has resulted in Kawhi not being what he was defensively in, like, 2016 or 2014. That is like one of the best defenders I've seen, point blank, period. And I don't think he approaches that level regularly anymore. That said, he still borders on all defensive if he were to play long enough or play enough games, and he's still a very, very good defender. So I think most people have actually come around to the fact that no, he's not the defender that he used to be. This is a take that I would have agreed with like 2 years ago. Marcus Smart did not deserve Defensive Player of the Year. Yes, he is a good defender, but he is definitely not elite compared to other elite defenders in the league like Draymond, Gobert, Bam, and Drew Holiday. First of all, I do think you were underrating Marcus Smart defensively, because while you could argue the impact of guys like Draymond, Gobert, and Bam is higher just because they're big men and they also are more team defenders specifically, like Marcus Smart is just as talented defensively as a lot of those names, especially like Bam and Drew Holiday, I think. Especially Marcus Smart's ability to defend like fucking centers half of the time, even though he's 6'4". That said, I do agree that this year's Defensive Player of the Year kind of felt like, I don't know, they just kind of gave it to somebody. I mean, I didn't have a strong feeling about who should have won, and it was like, oh, Marcus Smart's going to win? All right. I mean, this year's Defensive Player of the Year, it did not feel like there was a great case for anybody. While Rudy Gobert was good, the Utah Jazz overall defensive rating was not outstanding, which is kind of like a huge thing for me. Like, if you're not really a factor defensive rating-wise, that's important. But I even felt like Marcus wasn't even the best defender on his team. I would have given that credit to Robert Williams. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't really care. This year, like I said, this year's Defensive Player of the Year, it felt like they just gave it to somebody. I was originally pulling for Draymond Green, but Draymond Green missed too many games. If Draymond played the full season, I would genuinely be like, why the fuck did Draymond not win that Defensive Player of the Year? But alas, did not happen. The Celtics were the best defense in basketball. Marcus Smart is at the very least the second best defender on the team, and it's also a cool storyline for a guard to win the award. So I understand why it happened. I don't really care though. That's all this is boiling down to. I didn't really care that much about the Defensive Player of the Year race because I don't think it was a particularly strong race. It just felt like they gave it to somebody. And Marcus Smart was the recipient of the somebody has to win it award. Anyways, that was Hot Takes. Goodbye.